Hey, what's up guys? This is Nishi from MST.TV here. Today I want to talk to you guys about the 2020 Megatins and basically discuss just what made this year's Megatins feel so underwhelming. Last year's Megatins from 2019 were absolutely amazing. They brought us game-changing cards in Dark Ruler No More and Nibiru and Dimensional Shifter, and it felt like every single tin had amazing value. This year's, however, are another story completely. I feel like every other person that I talk to about this product is trying to sell their tins sealed, just hoping to recoup whatever value they can get back. The tins were supposed to be amazing, right? Bringing cards like Borreload's Savage Dragon and IP Masquerena and Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, but I feel like in terms of value, this set just pales in comparison to last year's tins, and even relative to other reprint products that we get during the year, despite how the Megatins are supposed to be some of the best. So today we're going to talk about the tins and break down exactly what it is that makes these tins so underwhelming, and see if what happened with these tins is just going to be a one-time occurrence, or if this is going to be a continuing trend moving forward. Let's get started. Okay, so I think the big thing that makes this year's Megatins feel ridiculously less valuable is the lack of promo cards. Literally every year since the tins first came out, we've gotten promos, and those cards have always helped to add a sort of value back to the product. Early on, we got iconic cards like Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, but then as time moved on, the promos became important reprints of meta-defining cards, things like Max C, Pot of Duality, Solemn Warning, and then even more past that, right? They became exclusive places to get certain cards like Martial Metal Marcher, Elder Entity Entis, or Nibiru and Dark Ruler No More. This year, however, is the first year that we didn't get promos, which honestly makes it feel like a completely different product altogether. The promos are important because they help to provide a sort of guaranteed value when you buy the product. If you're spending $20 on a tin, you know that you're gonna get, say, like $5 in value back, which is solid. Historically, the tins are really solid value, unlike something like Dual Power, where we just got like the 300th reprint of Stardust Dragon and Utopia. The Megatins this year not having promos just kind of felt weird and like sort of wrong, but it also meant that in the mega packs themselves, you had to try to pull back the full value of your tin. There was no cushion given by the promos that made it feel more worth it. I think that the idea was that you had the additional ultra and super rare that you get in each pack, and that was supposed to kind of make up for it, but clearly that didn't happen very well. Moving forward, I think that Konami will definitely have to bring back promos to the tins if they want them to be successful. They don't have to be broken the way that Nibiru is, but at the very least, a couple of solid imports or reprints that make you feel like you're glad you purchased that particular tin, regardless of what you pull in the mega packs themselves. Okay, so next up, we can look at the contents of the mega packs themselves and look at just how much less viable the cards being reprinted actually are. In last year's Megatins, we had really solid, meta-relevant archetypes being reprinted, with decks like Sky Strikers and Thunder Dragons, as well as a really strong engine in the Danger cards as well. Because these cards generally took up ultra rare or secret rare slots, when you combine them with the generic cards like Borrelsword Dragon, it meant that in a lot of the tins you opened, you were finding something that was worth keeping or holding onto almost every time that would retain value. Looking at the contents from this year's Megatins, however, there are basically no good archetypes either as engines or independent strategies that are being reprinted. Off the top of my head, I think that only like the Unchained is somewhat usable, and even then, they're kind of a rogue deck at best. The other archetypes are like Marincess, Evil Eye, Infinitrack, and Witchcrafters, and pulling any of those cards felt kind of bad. Side note, I don't understand why they made so many Infinitrack and Witchcrafter and Evil Eye cards holo. They were all from all holo side sets before, and it didn't really make any sense. Technically, this isn't a fault of the Megatins themselves. If the original sets didn't contain good archetypes, we don't expect them to get better after the cards are being reprinted. But I think that in a reprint set like this, the lack of good archetypes released in the previous year makes it very difficult to find cards in the tins that are actually usable or worth holding onto. Hopefully this year, with some stronger and more viable cards being released in core sets, that should mean that we'll be seeing more good reprints in next year's tins as well. But yeah, definitely some really poor archetypes being reprinted this year that I don't really think anyone was asking for in the first place. So while there weren't any good archetypes to reprint cards from, I think that something that could have helped the tins would have been to give rarity bumps to different cards. There were a lot of pretty cool things that were printed as commons or rares over the last year that could have been holo in this set. Things like Madolche Penningsessor, Extra Hero Cross Crusader, Galactic Spiral Dragon, Hop Ear Squadron, and then like all of the Tenyi cards definitely all could have been things that were really deserving of holo bumps, and even though they wouldn't be like $15 to $20 cards, they would have been really nice bumps that people would want to go out and pick up. However, what we actually got were some of the weirdest card choices that I've seen in my entire life. I feel like there wasn't any rhyme or reason when these cards were picked. I feel like someone from Konami, they took a bunch of extra common bulk, they filled a swimming pool with it, and then they just pulled cards out at random to make them holo. Seriously, like a lot of the supers in the set I've never even heard of before, like Astro Ghouls or Dances with Beasts and Whitefish Salvage. Like, what the heck are they? There were just so many cards that were more deserving of rarity bumps that I would have liked to see. But when we got these, I feel like a lot of them are just going to end up in some bulk somewhere. Special shout out to Beat Raptor, which was already a super rare from the Dark Neostorm Special Edition, which I now have like 300 copies of because I opened like 15 displays of Dark Neostorm Special Eds. Oh well. But yeah, my main point being, even if they are thinking of giving cards bumps in OTS tournament packs or something like that, hopefully next year they give us rarity bumps in the megatins of cards that are actually usable instead. So despite the obvious faults that the product had, I think that a big part of the issue with the tins is also somewhat due to the mentality of the player base itself regarding the expected value of the megatins. Last year, the 2019 megatins were arguably among the best products that we've ever seen in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh!, at least in terms of the instantaneous value that they provided. When you have amazing reprints, and then you also have amazing promos, right? Not just the Nibiru or the Dark Ruler, but also the God cards and the imports and the Raigeki and the Monster Reborn. That's amazing value that's being added onto your megatins, and to be completely honest, we were really lucky to get product that good at all. I think that part of the problem is that because we got such amazing product last year, as well as really good reprint stuff in general, right, with sets like Dual Devastator, Dual Overload, we've come to expect more from product than we should, and this expectation caused a lot of people to over-order the 2020 megatins. Yes, last year's megatins were great, but they should probably be viewed as more of the exception than the rule. For a lot of us average players, we want to be able to make our money back on the product that we buy, but that's not always going to happen. If we could buy product and then just get our value back and more on that product, then everyone would go around opening tons of sealed product for the free pluses. I think that when you go in on sealed product like this, you have to go in with the expectation that you're not getting your full value back. In essence, right, it's gambling because you're betting on yourself getting value back from these random packs. And for me personally, I don't think that you should be gambling with what you can't afford to lose. But yeah, I think that the expectations going into the tins were just way too high. And I think that even if we did see some better reprints somehow included, like they reprinted the Dragon Maids or something like that, we were never going to have products as good as last year's. And also, with so many people with such high expectations, a lot of people probably ordered too many tins, and if too many people do that, that's a ton of extra quantity of cards that's floating around on the market, which is obviously going to drive the prices of cards down. So yeah, as nice as it would have been to get the tins that were just as good as before, I think that people set their sights too high, and that just kind of set themselves up to be disappointed. So one last thing here that I think could have made the tins a lot more successful than they were is that they could have added an additional high rarity chase card to the set. Obviously, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon debuted into this set, and it's a huge reason that the set was able to sell at all, but it is just an ultra rare with about the same pull ratio as any other card, so it's not really what we're talking about here. I think that all things considered, even if they left the rest of the product the same as it currently is, they could have made the product feel a lot better and incentivized players to open it by introducing some sort of alternate high rarity card in the set. So let's take a look at Battles of Legend Armageddon, which wasn't really a great set, right? With some really weird reprint choices and not that great imports. However, the fact that you can pull Starlight Rare Utopia or the 10,000 Dragon from the set is an added incentive for people to want to open up product. Similarly, with core sets, even with relatively bad sets like Rising Rampage, which only had the one card in Appaloosa that was really valuable, the fact that you could pull a Starlight Rare from the set is what helped with moving the product. Obviously, it's not going to be enough to make the 2020 megatins as popular as, say, the 2019 megatins were, but by adding that tiny bit of incentive somewhere, they could have gotten people a lot more hyped up about the set despite the rest of its contents. Like, let's say that they made a Starlight Rare Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and that was something that only came 1 in every 5 cases. I think that Dragoon is enough of a chase card that it would have driven people crazy, and they would have opened cases just to try to hit that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Reprint sets are obviously tricky because you're reprinting cards. The reprints are what tears down the value of a card. So you have to give people really good reprints in order to incentivize them to open the product. In a set like the 2020 Megatins, where the reprints are relatively poor and there aren't any promos, adding on a high rarity chase card like Starlight Rare Red Eyes Dark Dragoon could have been a saving grace for the product. So hopefully that's something that Konami will look at introducing next year if they're hoping to build on and improve the product that they've already designed. Anyways guys, that's all I've got for you today. I know the Megatins maybe weren't as great as we were hoping. I still had a lot of fun opening them. Hopefully you guys also enjoyed it. There were still some really solid reprints. Cards like the IP Masquerena or the Borreload Savage Dragon, which looked really nice. Also, the biggest troll of the set has to go to Gladiator Beast Domitianus, because every single damn time I pulled it, I thought it was Dragoon. It is now my least favorite card in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's okay. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up for me. Also, make sure you let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think kind of went wrong with these Megatins. Also, what you guys would like to see happen differently with the Megatins that we're probably going to get next year. And of course, if you guys enjoyed the conversation today and you guys want to see more videos just like this, make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button for all of the latest and greatest content from both Tombox and myself. And yeah, until next time, guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.